Hi, I'm Emily Williams, the founder of the top success and personal development company for driven women called I Heart My Life. I grew my company from $442 to seven figures in my first 18 months. And since then, it's become a movement for women who know they're meant for something big and refuse to settle. At I Heart My Life, we operate with the belief that anything is possible and no dream is too big. We're all about combining business strategy, deep mindset work, high performance practices, money tips, and a whole lot of lifestyle to help you get the results you deserve in all areas of life. Because after all, we only get this one shot. This is your one-stop shop for all things inspiration. So grab your favorite drink and a pen and a notebook and get ready to be inspired. Oh, and if you're not a member of our community, go to iheartmylife.com/join and receive all of our emails and announcements. And while you're at it, copy and paste this episode link and share it with 3 friends. Now, on to the episode. Hey, it's Emily Williams, the founder of I Heart My Life and your host of the I Heart My Life show. This is episode 237, How to Give Yourself Permission to Take a Break. So today, this episode is for all of my fellow workaholics out there who are obsessed with the work that they do in the world, so much so that they spend every waking minute doing it and don't actually know how to relax and recover and recharge, and wonder how in the world they're ever going to get everything done on their ginormous to-do list. And it's not a to-do list in the sense of you have to do it. It's mostly things you're excited by. You have tons of ideas, you're super creative, and you want to do all of it. You want to be that multi-passionate, creative entrepreneur, or you're that person who has tons of hobbies, or you have tons of dreams, you have a huge bucket list. Regardless, you know who I'm talking to. You know if you are this person, and this episode is for you. Today, I'm taking you behind the scenes of my personal transformation and my own recovery as a former workaholic, and the story of me moving from that place into a place of resting, taking a break, and specifically taking a break from the I Heart My Life show. Now, don't worry, we will be back soon with incredible episodes. I'm actually still going to be recording behind the scenes. We're just not going to be releasing something new for a bit. But I wanted to tell you why I made this decision and how you can apply this decision to other areas of your life if you too are feeling called to take a break, but are wondering how in the world you give yourself permission to do that, especially when things are going well. Let's dive in. This episode is sponsored by our brand new Lux Mastermind. The Lux Mastermind is an annual experience-based mastermind combining in-person retreats, one-to-one coaching, and group coaching led by both myself and my husband, certified high-performance coach James Williams, as well as access to a high-level, high-impact community. Your mission and vision aren't just possible, they're inevitable with the year-long 2022 Lux Mastermind. So if you're passionate about scaling to your next financial milestone, if you love to combine luxury, travel, and business for your next up level, there's a seat in the mastermind with your name on it. So go to emilywilliams.com/services to apply and learn more about the Lux Mastermind and see if it's the right fit for you. And one thing to note, we only have 8 spots in the Lux Mastermind. It's an incredibly intimate experience, and some of those spots are already taken. So go to emilywilliams.com/services to apply today. So 2021 has been a year of massive pivots for us. If you've been following me as well as my companies, you know that there's been a lot of transformations happening. There's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes that I've been super excited by. There's been new websites that have launched, new opportunities, a brand new mastermind that we have coming up. Lots of new things. We've also been putting foundational pieces in place with systems and operations, bringing on new team members, letting certain people go. All of that has been happening as we're doing this rebrand. And I recently saw a little graphic that somebody made, and it said, a pivot is the repositioning of your business with new and fresh ideas to build something exceptional. And I really loved that. The only thing I think that it's missing is I believe a pivot is also about letting things go and really deciding what you're going to put your attention and focus on in order to get the results that you want. And for me, I've really been thinking about that a lot lately. And one of my big wake up calls came from actually issues with my health. And I don't like to use the word issues, so I guess I should say reminders with my health. And things like being low in energy, just not feeling like myself, and recognizing that I really needed to figure out what was going on in order to get better, in order to be able to perform at a high level, in order to reach all of my goals. So I spent a week kind of slowing down, doing certain things that I knew to do, like getting my blood taken, getting some massages, doing other practices that I know work well for myself and my fellow crazy business owners. And during that week, I think I worked maybe 4 to 6 hours maximum. And that was not intentional. It was literally, I just wasn't feeling well. And I realized that I actually didn't miss anything. I think I had to cancel one interview and one client call, and that was it. And besides that, everything was taken care of in my company. And that was such an amazing realization to know that all the hard work that I've put in place over the last few years to build a team, to streamline systems, all of that is paying off. But of course, I want to be able to enjoy it. I don't want to be laying in bed, not able to have the energy to do something different or to have a hobby or whatever it may be. So for me, it was quite a big wake-up call just to recognize that not only was it time to really focus on my next level of health and high performance, but also that I actually didn't need to work as hard as I was working all of these years. Now, of course, we can say hindsight is 2020. Of course, hard work is one of the things that got me where I am today. But at this stage in the game, I started to see that it was time for me to take a break. It was time for me to just figure out a different way of living and being without being so obsessed with being involved in every element of my company, without feeling like I needed to fill all of my space and time with another project, without continuing to pile things on my plate. And what I've realized over the last few years as well is that I was like always on to the next thing. And that's part of my personality. It's something that has gotten me where I am today. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I didn't always have to be in that season of hustle and reinventing the wheel. There's something to be said for slow and steady wins the race. And I got to tell you, I never thought in a million years that I would say those words. So you can go ahead and replay this if you're as surprised as I am. But the truth is sometimes we're reinventing things that don't actually need to be reinvented. We're adding things when if we had just stuck with the original thing, it would have been even more successful than the new thing. And, I hope all of this is making sense, but basically we're just spinning our wheels. And so I started to kind of go down a rabbit hole of, am I addicted to stress? Am I addicted to hard work? And the answer was definitely yes. And why is this the case? And what would it look like to live in a different way? Now, the thing that's always been scary for me is the question mark around, if I take my foot off the gas, does that mean I'm not going to be as successful, right? Has the hustle, has the hard work, has showing up in this way been the thing that has gotten me this result? And, to a certain extent, yes, but that doesn't mean this is the only way to do it. And frankly, it's not sustainable to show up in that way. And what I also realized, speaking, medically, is that my body has a tendency to go into fight or flight much earlier and quicker than it actually needs to. And that's true for many of us. Back in the day when we were being chased by crazy animals and we needed to really have heightened awareness in order to survive, of course, there was a lot of stress. There was a lot of physical stress that was a good thing. But now a lot of the things that are threatening to harm us, and I say that in air quotes, aren't actual true threats. And yet our body is going into this fight or flight state. And so I realized that a lot of what was going on with me was because of that. And we're not going to get into all of the medical stuff behind the scenes, but that can be because you have too much adrenaline going on, you have too much cortisol in your body doesn't know how to recover. So there's all these things that I've personally found out through getting a full blood panel done and working with a naturopathic doctor that we can talk about at another time. But for me, I realized that one of my biggest issues was cortisol, and also really understanding what it looked like to take a break and give myself permission to take more breaks. Okay. Now, when I realized this, I kind of did an evaluation of everything that was going on in our company, all of the kind of the plates that we had spinning in the air, everything that we had going on. And I got really clear around what this season is for us. And the reason I wanted to record this episode is to, of course, give you an update on the I Heart My Life show, because I'm so grateful to have you here and to have you listening. But just because I think it will really help you to simplify whatever it is you're doing, whether it's running a business, maybe you have a thriving career and you're also a mom and there's just a million things happening, it will really help you to simplify and to allow yourself to actually take that hiatus. And one of the things that's been inspiring me lately is thinking about nature and thinking about how there are, natural seasons. So we have fall, we have winter, we have spring, we have summer, and everything, all of those seasons have a different sort of way about them. So of course, we know what they all represent. Winter, everything's in hibernation, and then spring, it starts to blossom. There's regrowth, all of that's happening. Summer, there's a lot of buzz around summer. So much is happening, so much life is happening. Fall, things are starting to die. And I've been thinking about my natural sort of seasons and my natural state. And for me, as we enter into fall and winter, I actually want to go into hibernation. I actually want to be in a cozy, beautiful space in the mountains, writing or reading and just creating on my own, maybe with James right there, but basically on my own. That's kind of my natural state, which is why most winters you will find us in Vail, Colorado. That's our happy place, right? And so I've been thinking about this whole thing around running a business and how in the world do you take time off when you are running a company and when you are the leader of a movement and you do have a community relying on you. And of course, team helps, but it has to be more than that, because I don't know about you, but for the rest of the CEOs out there listening, my mind is pretty much always on my business. There are moments when I'm with my husband and with my friends and my family, and that's a different story. But other than that, I'm very focused on my mission and I know what I want to accomplish. And this work is so important to me. And so the question for me became, what is it that I want to give my attention to in order to carve out more space? Because I do believe that we can have it all, but I don't believe we can have it all at the exact same time, or at least not do it all. And so my big sort of message for you today is to first and foremost figure out what this chapter is about for you. What season are you actually in your business? I know that if I went back and started over, gosh, I don't even want to think about that, because starting something new is so challenging. If you are in that period of time right now where you're building a business or starting a new career, I'm not envious of you. And just, keep moving forward, because right now you're that plane taking off, and that's when the plane uses the majority of its fuel. So maybe right now the period of time you're in is about hustle, it is about showing up, it is about a lot of hours. That doesn't mean that you don't take care of yourself while you're going through that. It's really important that you do, but that's the season that you're in. I know for me, after this rebrand with everything going on, I actually don't have to work as hard or as many hours as I have in the past. And so I started to recognize that. And I recognized that there were certain things that I wanted to give all my attention to. And what I've realized over the last few years that I think it took me a long time to realize is that we don't actually have to do everything at once. And when we do that, we have a tendency to dilute everything that we're doing. So instead of picking one thing and doing it really well, we're giving a certain percentage of our energy to a bunch of little things. And like I said, most of the time, those aren't even the things that are going to be the needle movers. Sometimes they're just doing things to do things. They're filling space, filling time. So I got really clear around this period of time for us and what was really important in our company. What was the main goal and mission? And then I took a note from Coco Chanel, who I'm sure all of you have heard this. She talked very openly, and people use this quote all the time, about taking off one piece of clothing or accessory before you go out the door. Essentially, less is more. And so I started to think about, okay, so what can we put to the side in our company that we currently have planned to do that we don't actually need to do right now. And it's not going to make a difference to revenue, to impact, all the things. And what feels aligned for me to do right now. So I always look at what is aligned for me, what feels good, what is my desire. And then, of course, I look at what's going to be best for our company. And I've gotten to the point where I'm just sick of doing things halfway. And that might sound weird for anyone who knows me, because honestly, like my halfway is most people's 100%. And I don't say that to brag, but that's just really how I am. Unless I can do something properly, I really don't want to do it. Unless I can go on the trip and stay where I want to stay, I'd rather not go on the trip. And I know that's quite extreme, and people might say, oh, but you should just make do with what you have. Well, I don't believe in that. I believe all my time is precious. The way I spend my time, the way I show up, where I go, who I'm with is precious. And I want it to be the way I want it to be. And so I started to think about what I wanted for this chapter. And I started to peel back the layers and take things off and remove projects and push projects down the road. Because I saw, for example, our I Heart My Life company, there's so much we want to do with that. We want to get into products. We want to have events, all these things, but I want to do it properly. And there's a way to do it properly. And again, you have to know what chapter you're in, because of course, there's no such thing as perfection. There's no such thing as knowing exactly how to put something in place before you do it. But I know enough now to know that what I want to do with I Heart My Life is going to require a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of financial resources, and I want to do it right. Okay. And so we made some really strategic decisions about putting certain projects with that company into 2022 and even 2023 and beyond. Okay. And in the past, what I would have done is just rushed everything and said, oh no, we can do it. We can make it happen. And then it wouldn't have been the full sort of beautiful creation that I envisioned in my mind. And again, you have to know where you're at. In the beginning, you just have to get it going. You don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. But now I want to get it as close to the vision that I want it to be as I possibly can. And if that means we wait 6 months, great, we wait 6 months. And that also means when you move something out, that means you have time, capacity, energy, resources to focus on something else. Just like if you're in a relationship, if you're dating somebody and then you break up, great, there's space for that thing that is more aligned to fill the gap, to be there, to be that person, to be that project, whatever it is that we're referring to. So I got really clear on the goals, what felt good to me, what felt like relief to me. Relief is one of those just underestimated. It's something that people don't talk enough about because it's such a telling emotion. If you feel relief when you take something off your plate, and I'm not talking about relief because you're scared, but relief tells you when you're not in alignment. Relief tells you, oh my goodness, I can breathe now. If you're about to start a project and you feel like you have, a gorilla sitting on your chest, and then all of a sudden you say, I don't want to do that project, and you feel relief, pay attention to that. And again, we're not talking about when you give into fear and you feel relief because now you don't have to put yourself out there. We're talking about a different sort of a relief. And so for me, when I started moving projects into the future, there was so much relief there because I realized I'd been operating from a place of urgency and feeling like I didn't have enough time. And all of that is lack. Just like money lack, time lack is lack. And I want to shift into abundance and know that there is enough time for me to do everything I desire to do, and I don't have to do all of it now. So I focused on less things. The other thing I realized is I have nearly 8 years of content. Whether that's social media, blog posts, emails, this podcast, which we've been running for over 3 years, all of that is there. Why do I feel the need to recreate something every single week? Now, we are in the creation sort of movement. We are in a world that's obsessed with creation. And I actually recently took a personality test and it told me I'm a creator. And so, of course, I'm obsessed with creation. Of course, I have, at least 50 courses that I've created over the last few years. And some are massive. right? That's what I love to do. I love to create. But why do I feel the need to keep creating over and over and over? What if we got better at repurposing? What if we got better at making sure that as many eyes or ears got on the content as we possibly could instead of rushing on to the next? And that's what I sometimes feel happens, especially with things like podcasts or emails. We're literally cranking out so much content, and yet we're spending very little time, energy, and resources actually making sure that what we create gets into the hands and the eyes and the ears of people who need it. So again, another thing I asked myself, how can we get better at repurposing what we already have instead of using all of our resources to create new? And when it came down to it, this is such an interesting thing to say out loud because I want to make sure that you understand how important my community is to me. But the question that I really had to ask myself is like, what can we do to maintain the results and the support that we give our community and the impact? But like, what is the bare minimum we have to do? And I don't mean that in that we aren't going to continue to go above and beyond, but my natural tendency is to overgive. My natural tendency is to do 2 podcasts a week, which is what we've been doing for the last 3 years. My natural tendency is to make course after course after course because I can and because I love creation. But is that really what people want? Do we really have people devouring every podcast so much so that they need another episode just 2 days later? Because we are all inundated and we all know that when we land on a website, we literally have, we probably give it 2 to 5 seconds before we're on to the next. We're constantly scrolling, looking at so many images every single minute. And so I had to ask myself, like, is this what the audience really needs? Do they need more? Or can we give them depth? Okay. And so all these questions were coming up for me because of the health reminders I was experiencing, because of the pivot in our company that came from me following my heart. So I want you to really ask yourself today, what is your gut instinct about what this next chapter is about for you? And is it time to take a break? And that leads me to one of the things that I wanted to cover today. We are actually putting the I Heart My Life show on hiatus for a period of time. I'm not going to give you an exact period of time because honest truth, I don't know. I'm going to be recording episodes in the background, but I can't tell you when the next one is going to be released. And I was thinking about this. And when I first thought to myself, you know what, it'd be really great to take a break from this. The first thing that came up was, Emily, you can't do that. People expect you to record a podcast. People expect you to show up. And I thought about that for a second. And I asked myself, is that really the expectation? Or do people, at least the people I want to surround myself by, do they expect me to be true to myself and follow my heart and live in integrity and with alignment? And I came to the conclusion that it's the latter. And I can do both. It's possible to do both. It's possible to share more content, but it's also possible to repurpose and make sure that you are getting everything that's the best of what we've done over the last 8 years in your hands, in your ears, in your eyes. I need to stop saying that. But you know what I mean? It's like, I don't have to pick one or the other. I can serve and I can take a break. It's possible to do both. And it's taken me a long time to get to that place and to not be nervous about being forgotten, not be nervous about my success being dependent upon churning out content after content, podcast after podcast, and to recognize that I am worthy. I am an impact maker. I'm an influencer. I'm a business owner. Even if this podcast is on hiatus for 2 months or 4 months or 6 months. If you think about it, I remember, when shows were on live, thinking about Friends or whatever it was that I loved, The Office, they would always take the summer off. You would have your last show in May, and then it would come back in September. And I don't know where all of us as entrepreneurs started to believe that we have to churn out content every second of every day in order to be successful. That just really makes no sense when you think about it. especially if you have so many like resource banks of content that you can repurpose so your people are always getting value and you are staying in front of them. You don't have to be creating something new to do that. And so I would ask yourself today, where do I need to take a break? Maybe it's social media. I've been hearing this from so many clients lately. Like literally, they're so fearful, so anxious because they're scrolling through social media, comparing themselves to other people, feeling like they're behind, feeling like they're not good enough. And frankly, if that's how you feel about it, turn it off for a while, park it for a while. Your health is far more important than your post. Okay? And so maybe that, for me, I log out of Instagram after I post. There are some days when I'm on there sharing stories and behind the scenes, but for the most part, I log out of it after I post, after I share content, after I share value. If I want to interact on one day, great, I'll do that, but I don't put pressure on myself to do so. So where do you need to take a break? Do you currently have a podcast or something, or maybe you're writing a book and things aren't flowing? Take a break, get your creativity back, get your spark back. Because here's the thing, if you are trying to serve and deliver from an empty cup, people are going to feel that and it's not going to be as impactful. And that's what I meant when I said, let's move something out so that I can do it fully. Let's move something out so we actually have the resources to hire the full-blown team that it's going to take to make that happen. Instead of me putting myself last, right? Like I have been for so many years, trying to do it all and not actually doing anything well. That's what I'm saying. So where can you be like Coco Chanel, take one thing off because you don't need it anyway, and now is not the time anyway, and put your focus on the things that are going to move the needle, the things you're excited about, the things that drive you and fuel you, the things your community wants, right? And make a plan for the other stuff. Doesn't mean you toss it. You might want to toss it, but doesn't mean you have to. You might make a plan for the other stuff or put it in quarter 1 or quarter 4, right? You might move it to 2023. That's okay. Give yourself permission to take a break. And like I said, I wanted to record this to inspire you, but also to inform you that we are taking a break from the I Heart My Life show. But we have over 200 episodes for you to dive into. Go back into our library. There's some incredible experts. I also teach a ton of amazing content. Scroll through, see which of the episodes appeal to you, and listen to 1 a week. Listen to 2 a week, just like if we were live. And know that I'll be behind the scenes recording. We'll be releasing, coming back better than ever before with lots of surprises, lots of new things in store for you. But for now, you have that whole bank of incredible recordings to dive into. And if you want to work with me personally, at the time that I'm recording this, we are taking applications for our brand new Luxe Mastermind. This, alongside of our VIP days, is the only way to work with me personally in 2022. So if you want to know more, go to emilywilliams.com. You can check it out. You can apply. If you go to our services page, you'll see more info and you'll be able to apply and jump on a call to learn more about that incredible experience that was designed with all of you high-level driven women in mind, all of you who have a tendency to do way too much, all of you who maybe started something but now feel like something's off or not in alignment, or maybe you feel like you want to build your team, or you want to build a new revenue stream, or you want to learn how to do less. Regardless, this is holistic success. We cover every area of life and business. It's myself and my husband, James, working together with you in an amazing high-level group, super intimate, only 8 people. So we want to see you in the Luxe Mastermind if that is the right fit for you. And thank you for being a part of the I Heart My Life show. This is definitely not goodbye. Again, this is just hiatus. Everyone needs a break at some point in time, but I so appreciate all of our incredible I Heart My Life show community members, all of our listeners. Please go ahead and make sure that you're listening to an episode every single week, and we will be back very soon. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the I Heart My Life show. Now do us a favor and tell people about this episode. It's truly our duty to make sure that the I Heart My Life movement is spread far and wide. The truth is, life can be challenging, but it is possible for all women to love themselves and their lives. And while you're at it, send a link to this episode to 3 of your friends today, or maybe even post it on social media. Use the hashtag #IHeartMyLifeShow. That's hashtag #IHeartMyLifeShow. And if you'd like to help me personally, then please rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts. Give us some stars, cheer us on, and leave a review, because believe it or not, that stuff actually really does help. And I read all of them. Please remember, everything you desire is meant for you and possible. Keep showing up, taking action, and believing in your dreams.